you want to make a backdrop yourself for less than £40, then keep on watching. Backdrops are great for portraits, for family photo shoots and even couples photography sessions. They're foldable, they're portable, they're easy to make, and you can make them any size that you want. Before we even delve into the realms of how to create a backdrop from scratch, there are a few things that you need to begin with, and I'll start off with the basic stuff first. First of all, you need a large indoor space, and if you haven't got an indoor space available, at least a large outdoor flat surface and a day with some good weather. You also need to make sure that you're wearing some clothing that's appropriate for the task that you're doing, so perhaps something that isn't your Sunday best but is something you can get paint on. Obviously you need supplies, and I'd say in terms of time you need at least a minimum of half a day, if not more. To create your backdrop you need to go and do a bit of shopping. Now technically you could use any DIY store. The majority of the items on this list are quite easily accessible. So to begin with, the main thing, you need a canvas backdrop. If you go to that DIY store, you're looking for a painter's Dropcloth or a Dustsheet. The Dustsheet is a more common term here in the UK. Having looked around myself, you'll find Dustsheets or Dropcloths that are coated in vinyl, and you don't need that. If you can only find a Dustsheet or a Dropcloth that has got protective plastic backing, then that is fine. You'll only see one side. But ideally, if you can just get a plain, simple Dropcloth, that's all you need. To ensure that you don't get paint everywhere, you also need to make sure that you purchase a plastic sheet. Now, most DIY stores will sell these as a pack of 4, and they are quite easy to come by. But as long as you get at least 1 or 2 and they cover the whole entire surface where you'll be putting the backdrop, then that would be fine. In terms of paint, you need at least 1 litre. That's 1 litre of paint to begin with. And that paint should be the colour that you want the main colour of your backdrop to be. So I chose on this occasion grey. Additionally, you'll also need at least 3 tester pots or perhaps another 1 litre pot of paint for the different accent colours. Now I just about got away with 1 tester pot of sort of a darker grey and 1 tester pot of light grey. However, if I could redo it again, I'd get at least 2 dark greys and 1 light grey. The tools that you probably need will include a roller set that come with the plastic dish, probably a jug which you can probably get from home to put some water in, a sponge or some brushes. I've just been very lucky that I had a sponge lying around that I didn't use anymore, so I've used that. Finally, you will also need PVA glue. Now that does need to be the liquid form and not the stick form that you can buy from your arts and crafts centre. You don't need a huge amount, perhaps over 200 millilitres is fine. But if you're going to be making backdrops again in the future, then you might as well buy a bigger tub. And the last thing that you need is at least some tape to hold the plastic sheeting down. All I will say is it gets very slippery and very sticky as well, so make sure you hold that sheeting down on the floor. For the next few minutes you'll see a time lapse of how I've pretty much painted this backdrop from start to finish, and I do talk you through exactly what I do. Keep on watching. So the first thing you need is a bit of masking tape or any other tape. As you can see, I've left the door open so it lets some of the air in. I've just basically taped down all the corners and as many of the sides nearest to the doors so that it doesn't start to fly away. Next is all about getting the backdrop in place. When they are out of packaging, you'll see it is creased. Don't worry too much about it. Again, just grab your tape, tape down some of the sides and the corners, not too much because you have to lift the tape up to paint over them, but just enough to keep it in place. The things you need for this next stage are a bowl, PVA glue, a stick or a chopstick like I found, and a paintbrush. And make sure you take off those pesky socks, there's no point getting paint on them. So for this part, I just took the bowl, added some warm or hot water, and filled it sort of half and half with the water and the glue as well. And you can literally see it takes quite a bit of time. Maybe a paintbrush isn't so suitable, but just make sure you cover all the areas, including the bits under the tape, okay? Don't forget the bits under the tape. Once you get to the end, just make sure you let it dry for a bit. If you can put it outside to dry, then do so, otherwise it might take a little bit longer, but make sure it just dries out fully. And then the next fun bit is the paint. So I mixed grey paint with some water, not too much water to make it so runny, but enough to make it go around. Like I say, I only bought a 1 litre pot of paint. It's just enough to cover it, so I'm just using a roller to go over the whole thing. And then comes along the dark grey paint. I used a sponge for this, and again mixed the paint with a bit of water, and you can see I'm just making a complete mess. I mean, look at my hands. Going for a different shade of colour there. It doesn't have to be neat and tidy. I made it sort of just not so pattern-ish. And then the final bit I did was to add some accent colours, again with a sponge but with a lighter grey, mixed with a bit more water, and you can see I've literally just had a bit of a laugh here and just threw it onto the backdrop. And once you're done, let it dry again. I hope you found this video useful. It certainly was rather fun to do, although admittedly I managed to get more paint on my arms and my legs than I did the dungarees that I'm wearing right now. I've put all the links to any products that I've bought today in the description. These were just items that I've bought off my own back. And of course, if you've got any comments or any suggestions to other viewers, then make sure you put them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.